Hello, everyone. This is Robb Fahrion with the Sage Executive Podcast, where top executives share their sage advice. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the wise speak in few words. We have an awesome guest here today that I'm really excited to introduce you to, so let's get right into it. For question number 1, in a few sentences, would you mind telling us who you are and what it is you do?
Well, my name is Michael Shepard. I am the managing partner of the Shepard Group. I'm a recovering broadcast journalist who went to the dark side of PR and corporate communications about 25 years ago when I started my firm after working for some Big Four agencies. And Rob, what I really do, our firm specializes in content marketing, social media, and PR. But at the end of the day, what I really do, I'm a builder of brands and a builder of corporate reputation.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that ability just to boil that down into, that's what we do. We say too, what do you guys do? We generate leads and exposure for you really at the end of the day, right? How we do it, that kind of doesn't always matter. Great. Well, thank you, Michael. Second question, what would you say is the best part about being a leader, being a managing partner in your organization?
Well, for me, I really am a big believer in the servant leadership model. I'm really not into the command and control, top down kind of school of management, and I think that's seen its day. I just feel very strongly that what my role is with my team is to make sure that I give them the tools, the resources, and the guidance that they need to achieve their goals. They know where they want to go. My job is to help them get there.
Awesome. I love that. I will take that back with me for sure. Third question. So we hear a lot of time from entrepreneurs, owners, executives that new business acquisition, acquiring new clients can be very challenging. There's obviously a lot of competition, a lot of noise nowadays. So I was just curious to get your thoughts on business acquisition and kind of what goes into your methodology for acquiring new business.
Well, more than anything with new business acquisition is being able to understand what it is that you're after, and then figuring out, well, how do your strengths and your skill sets and competencies align with what those needs are. I mean, that's the simplest explanation that I can provide you. And as you know, in life, sometimes the simplest things are the hardest.
Sure.
And I think that people struggle with that, in the trusted advisor ranks, where, they feel that they have strengths and know that they have them, but sometimes they're trying to give them to, people whom they may not fully understand their needs well enough to know if there's alignment there. And then when it doesn't come together, they're frustrated and they don't know why.
Right.
And usually that's the root cause.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we were just on a call the other day to where a client gave us kind of, hey, here's what we're looking to do. Boom, boom, boom. And right away, I'm like, I don't know that we're a fit, right? And so instead of trying to fit round peg, square hole type deal, it was, hey, right away, I don't know that this necessarily works, but we do have some referrals, right, that we can move you on to. But okay, great. Question number 4, and this is where feel free to open it up. What piece of sage advice would you give to other executives, business leaders, people in a position like yours?
I have come to kind of discover over the years that people want things to be easy, sometimes too easy. And I think that we do ourselves harm when we lapse into that kind of thinking, because it devalues those things that we really want. The greatest rewards, I think we know, come from good old-fashioned hard work. I mean, that's what gives them value, right? It's that quest for something that you're reaching for. And if it's the right goal, in my opinion, it should be certainly beyond your reach, at least initially, something that you've got to get to, because the higher, of course, and farther you have to go, I think the more valuable it is. And I see, this frustration that seeps in, when it turns out not to be easy, and then there's self-doubt that creeps in, and then people start to question, well, maybe that wasn't the right goal. Maybe we need to do it, this way. And I see a lot of people sort of get tied up in Gordian knots over that. In marketing, you see it a lot of times with corporations where their strategy is sort of fuzzy. They haven't really dialed it in because they'll run into an obstacle, and instead of maybe anticipating that they would run into that obstacle and have a specific response to it, it's like, oh, well, okay, that means we can't go there, so let's pivot over here.
Right.
And you and I were chatting a little bit before we went on the air about our background and mutual love of sports, and
Sure.
I always say that everything I ever needed to know in life, I think I learned on a baseball field, a basketball court, or in my case, growing up in Alaska on a hockey rink. And I know that, there's just sometimes you're going to get knocked down, and you have to challenge yourself to get back up. It doesn't mean that you weren't supposed to get knocked down. It's part of the game.
Right.
And you have to, have the ability and the discipline. I really think it's discipline to understand, okay, that doesn't mean because I got knocked down that my strategy was wrong.
Right.
I just simply need to, make sure that I execute better.
Right. Right. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. The growth through adversity and yeah, that's great. We'll definitely have to have a little conversation about hockey after the fact, because Flying V Group, I'm sure you could connect some dots with where that might come from. But,
yeah, I can.
Anyways. Okay. Moving on. Question number 5. We're doing great here. So obviously we're trying to add new guests to our show, provide some new value. So what other top executives like yourself would you like to acknowledge as leaders in their space and individuals that might be a great guest and a great content for our viewers?
Well, we talk about leadership a lot in business, and you and I have touched on it. When I think of a guy who really represents the best of leadership, who understands it structurally and knows how to instill it. I mean, to the degree that you can instill it, it's more like he would probably cringe at that word because it's not the right word, but let it come out, right? And help you with the tools to open it up. His name is Tony Rezac, Rezac, and he's an author. He's got a podcast called Base Camp for Men, and he really focuses on developing men into being really better men, better leaders. And, it's somewhat, I think, counterintuitive. We oftentimes, and we spend, rightly so, a lot of energy trying to help women in their quest, to develop their leadership skills, to help them, better position themselves for success in what had been, at least in the business world, a male-dominated world. And we need to continue that focus. But there hasn't been historically as much work focused on men. And Tony does a great job. Fantastic for your show. Great. The other individual that comes to mind is John Brown. He's the CEO of an Orange County event experience firm called The Show Pros.
Okay.
And he's definitely someone who sees the marketing world, the branding world, I think in a very special light. He's I think he's a theater major. I think he came from a theatrical background. And then when you understand what he does and how he does it, how he creates these rich experiences for his corporate clients that are doing events, and he's done them all over literally the world. He's got a wonderful, I think, feel and insight for the power of brand and how that is translated through an event experience.
Great. Okay, perfect. I will definitely take note of that and might be asking you for a couple introductions. I appreciate that, Michael.
Happy to provide them.
So to wrap up, and a fun one here, after a win, and it could be a sports win, personal win, business win, what do you like to do to celebrate?
Well, first and foremost, I like to celebrate with the people that were, with me every step of the way.
Right.
I'm not too keen on one-person celebrations, but when I do get together, and celebrate, I guess I probably would ask for maybe a nice dinner, out at a restaurant, and ask for maybe an 18-year-old scotch.
There we go.
Not the 18-year-old girl, but definitely a great steak, and a wonderful drink, and again, good conversation and camaraderie with friends. That, for me, that fills me up.
Perfect. I love that. Well, Michael, hey, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. Just to close, how can people find you, find out more about you, and more about your business as well?
Well, our website is the shepherdgroup.com. Shepherd can be a little tricky on spelling. I don't know if you can provide that for folks, but it's, as I like to say, the Good Shepherd, SHEPH, that second H trips people up, ERD.
Great.
Shepherdgroup.com. And you can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and probably down at the local store, looking for soup around dinner time.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely we'll get that in text. Make it really simple for people to find you.
Cool.
Thanks so much again, Michael. My name is Robb Fahrion with the Sage Executive Podcast. For more insights and to check out more episodes of our show, visit us at flyingvgroup.com/podcast. Thanks so much again for being on, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Rob. It was fun.